Welcome back to the Ultimate Piano Course by Joseph N. In the previous video, we discussed the introduction to rhythmic drills, which is going to comprise chapters 10 through 26 of these videos. Now, in this video, we're going to go over the first rhythmic drill. So for that, let's turn to the actual drill itself. Now, when we look at our rhythmic drill, the first thing we should notice is the tempo. At the beginning, it says quarter note equals 80. So that's what we should set our metronome to. Now remember, if you don't want to set it to quarter note equals 80, you should set it to something lower so that you can practice getting up to that tempo. In the last video, I said a beginning of quarter note equals 50 or 60 could be nice. So I would try something like that. As you can see here, I already have my metronome set to 80, so we're going to go ahead and turn it on. Now you can hear the ticks there, and every one of those is going to be a quarter note, and there will be 80 in 1 minute. When we go to practice this exercise, we should look at the very beginning line. And we should try to get the very first line as good as we can, 3 times in a row perfect, to make sure that we can go on and handle all the other rhythms. So let's start by playing just the first line. Here we go. Pretty fast there by the end, right? That shows the difference in speed between quarter notes all the way to 16th notes. Remember that as you practice these rhythmic drills, you want to make sure that each of the lines is practiced 3 times in a row perfectly before you move on and consider it done. This is because otherwise you run the risk of playing at another time or another day and it falls apart on you because it wasn't learned completely. Now, let's assume that we've got all of this done. Now I'm going to play through the entirety of the exercise with the metronome. So first, we'll start by setting our metronome. We're on quarter note equals 80 once again. And I'm going to follow the metronome for the entirety of the exercise. Now, notice at the very last 4 measures, there's nothing written in them except 4 whole rests. So we have to actually wait for those 4 measures before our piece is technically done. Now, let's go ahead and we'll start from the very beginning. Here we go. So there you have it. There's your first rhythmic practice drill. The first line is very tricky because of the speed you have to reach to play some of those notes. However, with enough practice, beginning at a lower tempo on the metronome and working up to quarter note equals 80, you shouldn't have any trouble reaching the speeds shown in the video. Measures 9 through 20 were another tricky section because of all of the quarter rests everywhere. All of these quarter rests are 1 beat, so you have to actually wait 1 beat or more for every single note. As you heard in the video, I actually had a lot of times where I was just waiting, listening to several ticks on the metronome before I would play the next quarter note. That was me counting all of the quarter rests to make sure that I would come in at the appropriate time. At the very end of the piece, as I mentioned, there's 4 whole rests, and all of those are going to account for the entirety of that measure. So there was 4 measures of 4 beats, so 16 beats total of waiting. Now, sometimes a piece will end in silence, and you'll have to just sit there and wait. But otherwise, we'll just anticipate our next rhythmic practice drill in the next video, and I'll see you then.